It all comes down to this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as we are here for our final race of the first season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. We have 4 competitors in the hunt for the championship here tonight for what should be an exciting end to what's been a, for the most part, very, very exciting season. We are getting ready for the running of the Ford 400. We've got 4 competitors who have made their way through the 35 races, 26 of them regular season races, 9 of them playoff races, 3 playoff rounds, and they are now in the hunt for the championship, and all of them come into this race tied for the overall points lead since none of them had a win back in round 3, which means it's going to come down between those 4 as to who is the highest finisher in the results. That's going to be probably walking away with this championship. I say probably because you could also factor in some bonus points for maybe leading a lap, leading the most laps. That's a possibility, but we'll get to that bridge when we cross it. But the drivers that you will be keeping an eye on during the course of this evening, whose nation are you a part of? We've got first off Benny Watson, who took the checkered flag only once this season in the Throne of Games 400 at one of the Crown Jewel races at Darlington. He is the lone Toyota in the hunt for the championship this season. You got a driver who started off the season really, really well, won the Daytona 500, and then the second half of the season came around, and we were talking about him getting consistent finish after consistent finish. That is K Friesen. What a bookend year it would be if he could win the Great American Race and the championship at the beginning and end of the season. You got D Poteet, 2-time winner. He had a win, actually, during the playoffs when he went to victory lane in the elimination race at Indianapolis, and he was in the hunt for the win in the elimination race last week at Rockingham. So he seems to be very good when the pressure is on. We'll see what he can do here today, looking for his 3rd win. And Chris Dollerton, talk about a driver that had an up and down season. He got 1 win. That was the 13th race of the season. Let's quickly get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
So talking about Chris Dollerton, he had 1 win in the 13th race of the season that was heading into All-Star Race weekend, and he was outside the top 30 in the points at that moment in time. He managed to work his way up in the second half of the regular season as high as 12th in the point standings to lock himself into the playoffs, and he is the only Ford entry that has a shot at the championship here this evening. 2 Chevys, 1 Toyota, and 1 Ford will battle it out for the championship here tonight. And bear in mind, we got 36 other drivers in this field. I almost said 38, but there's only 40 cars in the field. 36 other drivers, they just want to finish out the season with a victory. They could care less about those 4 competitors battling for the championship. So, obviously, the championship competitors are definitely going to have to cut their way through the field, and I don't think they're going to be cut any slack by all the rest of these drivers. You got Charles Sandfer lining up on the pole for today's race. Sandfer trying to get his first win still of the season. He'll start alongside Mitchell Collins, who went to victory lane at another 1.5-mile track earlier on this season. That was at Kansas. We are not running the 2019 rules package here this evening, but we are running CTS physics. And as far as where your 4 championship competitors are starting this race, Benny Watson, the highest starter, in 10th. K Friesen will roll off from 23rd. D Poteet from 28th. And Chris Dollerton, we'll see how long it takes for him to get to the front. He will start near the rear of the field in the 38th position. But it's going to be Watson, Poteet, Friesen, and Dollerton. Who's going to win the championship here tonight for the final time in Season 1 of the Duracell Cup Series? It's time to say those most famous words. Let's roll at Homestead! You're going to definitely see the inside line be the preferred line here this evening. Though that outside line, if you have enough drivers lined up there, it can make some progress in the corners. But on the straightaways, it's definitely the bottom line that moves. Charles Sandfer will lead the first lap of the evening as they're going to start to get 3 wide behind him. You'll see him 3 wide, maybe even attempting 4 wide, which they can kind of do if they settle it out. They just can't really be 4 wide off the corner, because off the corner, the car on the bottom will tend to get tight, slide up into the car to their right, and that's when we usually end up having our wrecks. Battle is on for second. That's Austin LaPlante to the inside of Mitchell Collins. You got Wyatt Quail there, that Hershey's Ford in unofficially the 4th position, battling with Trent Dunham. As Mitchell Collins is going to get kicked up to the outside line. They're going to be 3 wide. That is for 4th place. Right now, our highest running playoff driver, I believe, is still the 75 of Benny Watson. There he is. He managed to get his way down to the inside. He started on the outside of row 5. And then if you look back there, you can see that Wendy's logo on the hood of the 37 of Carter Friesen. I believe he was the only driver. No, he was one of 2 drivers of our playoff 4 that started on the inside line. He was on the inside of row 12. Poteet started on the inside of row 15. As Benny Watson now getting challenged by Jessica Shelton. That is, I believe, for the 12th position. And now Watson stuck on that outside line. If he continues to free fall, that could bring the 37 of Carter Friesen to his inside to challenge not only for a spot on track, but for the overall lead in the championship standings. Drop back. That's Dylan Poteet's on the bottom, trying to make his way towards the front. Right now scored in the 27th position as he's side by side with teammate Matthew Rodriguez, and Chris Dollerton at this point in time has not made up an awful lot of ground, still scored back in the 38th position. I think he's now in 37th, following in the tire tracks of James Shelley, trying to make his way towards the front of the field. If we do manage to remain green, which this track is most noted about doing that, usually our championship battle comes down to pit strategy and whatnot. We got a great battle at the front here between some Camaros, Michael Norman, Trent Dunham, and Charles Sandfer. But we could end up seeing green flag pit stops be where drivers like Poteet and Dollerton, who had the misfortune of qualifying near the back, they could maybe make up some ground. Remember last week at Rockingham, we went green flag from start to finish, and that turned out to be a very exciting race. 3-way battle for the win between Dylan Poteet, Jose Millz, and the eventual winner of that event, J Jefferson. Matt McIntire now 3 wide. A lot of silly season news at the time of this recording coming out with Matt McIntire re-signing back. I believe he's going to be back with Michael Norman Motorsports, with Michael Norman and Matthew Rodriguez. That team moving over to Toyotas. There's a lot of manufacturer changes going on. Cole Baker and Seth Cole over at Backmarker Motorsports. They're going to be moving from Toyotas over to Chevrolets. Michael Norman Motorsports moving from Chevys to Toyotas. Joanna Atwood Motorsports. What's a motorsport? Motorsports moving from Fords to Toyota Camrys. So a lot of different manufacturer changes going on. I believe we've also received word that Backmarker Motorsports, they will be having a new driver, and that is going to be Vince Almariego, since Sega Motorsports looks like it will be closing up at the end of this season. Austin LaPlante in a drag race there with Matt McIntire to the line, and it was LaPlante by about 2/100ths getting the spot. And this is where they're starting to make me a little bit nervous. They're 3 wide, a few rows deep. Keith Batson, Trent Dunham, Mitchell Collins, Zach Rogers, Benjamin Miles, Michael Norman, and up at the front you got Garcia, LaPlante, and Matt McIntire. 3 wide they can handle. 4 wide is when it starts to get a little bit hairy, and you just wonder who's going to be the one that's going to make that 4 wide move. And there's your answer. Jessica Shelton moving down there 4 wide. It settled back to 3 wide. You saw some contact there between Charles Sandfer and Adam Garcia, and that was a close one. Let's refocus on our championship battle, see who's currently the highest of our championship 4, and right now it would be the 37 of Carter Friesen, who right now is in the middle groove. See Benny Watson down there on the bottom, so right now it's between Friesen and Watson for the current championship as Poteet's fading to the back, and Dollerton looks like he is now side by side with Poteet, so while Poteet is drifting back, Dollerton is working his way up. These drivers, though, oh, wow, we had some contact back there between Matthew Rodriguez and Chris Dollerton, but these Championship 4, last thing they want to do is get involved in a wreck because that would be their championship hopes completely over with. And we're only 11 laps into this race, so, you know, if they're going to wreck out with a championship on the line, I think they would prefer it to happen in the closing stages of the race rather than with more than 40 laps to go. Friesen still continuing to hold court on that top side, though, side by side with last week's winner, J Jefferson. So right now, he is in line to win the championship, but still a long ways to go in this one. And like I said, what a year it would be for Carter Friesen if he were able to start off the season with a Daytona 500 victory and then end it off with a championship trophy here in the Duracell Cup Series. You look at some of the drivers that did not make it here to this final round. 4-time winner Jose Millz, 3-time winners William Brock and Jordan Lopez. Of our championship 4 combined, they only have 5 wins. 2 for Poteet and then 1 for Friesen, 1 for Watson, and 1 for Dollerton. It all comes down to just being in the right place at the right time, hitting a consistent streak at the right time, and keeping your car clean and out of trouble. As we got a battle maybe for the championship going to take place here on track. Benny Watson's been continuing to move up on that inside line, and now he will get alongside Carter Friesen. This is a battle as we got Keith Batson down into the wall. He's going to hit it, and he saves it. Is there any caution? I don't think so. I think the caution is not out. A great save by Keith Batson after going down and hitting the wall. He pancaked the left side of that U.S. Navy Blue Angels Ford. And somehow we're still green as we're 3 wide at the front. Tough break there for Keith Batson. It's not exactly been the greatest of seasons for him. As you can see, the dirt kicked up there when he went through the grass off the nose of Zach Rogers' 6. Batson coming into this race 36th in the point standing. Certainly not the year he was looking for. He does have a win that came back at Richmond, but this will not be the way he wanted to end off the year. That's for certain, as he's going to fall at least 1, maybe 2 or 3 laps down as he is on pit road for repairing crash damage. And the tough break for him was he didn't get the benefit of a caution coming out. We are still green flag racing here. Austin LaPlante continuing to lead the way here at Homestead-Miami. Carter Friesen's been able to break away from Benny Watson right now for the championship lead. Chris Dollerton and Dylan Poteet, they're back here. Dollerton, last time by, scored in 32nd. So it looks like he can make forward progress, but not very quickly, because the depending on where the draft is, the inside, middle, and outside line can all keep up with each other. And right now, Dylan Poteet, 2-time winner, who finished in, was it 2nd or 3rd? I can't remember. One of those 2 last week, because he was in that hunt for the win at Rockingham. He's right now in 33rd, just moved by Cole Baker for that spot. Move back up here towards the front right now. There's Benny Watson trapped on that outside line. Carter Friesen's on the inside line, and he's about to crack the top 10, actually. Last time by, he was scored in 13th. He's going to go 3 wide with Zach Rogers and Jessica Shelton here into turn 3. He might, depending on the run he gets off the corner, he might be scored up inside the top 10 on this lap. Oh boy, Keith Batson came back up on track, and he is not up to speed. They're going to split him. And he's going to hold off that bottom line, hold them up. And that might hold up Carter Friesen. No, Friesen's going to get by. Everybody else trying to make their way by, and I believe Benny Watson was trapped in that outside line. Yeah, he was. He's trying to get to the middle groove. This is going to aid Chris Dollerton, who's on that bottom line, and Dylan Poteet, as Vince Almariego, Zach Rogers, Jessica Shelton, and Ryan Acosta are all trapped on that outside line, and they're going to lose a lot of positions as a result of this. Now Chris Dollerton, because of all that, he's going to be in a battle with Benny Watson for the 2nd highest playoff driver. But Carter Friesen was on the bottom, so he has managed to work his way now to the 9th position. That's about 13, 14 positions ahead of that battle between Chris Dollerton and Benny Watson. The top 6 managed to get around Keith Batson relatively unscathed. LaPlante, Sandfer, Quail, Miles, Collins, and Dunham. Then it's a ways back to M McIntire in the 7th position, who's actually battling with Julius Anderson for that spot. Here comes Charles Sandfer now to the bottom on Austin LaPlante. Trying to complete the sweep for Retro Racing Enterprises. Jessica Shelton had a win at Phoenix. K Mathews had a win at Bristol. Charles Sandfer so far this year, a 0 in the win column. As a matter of fact, too, I mean, I understand that with 16 drivers jumping up there in the playoffs, it doesn't exactly reflect where he would be if we didn't have those 16 drivers up there, but Charles Sandfer comes into this race 35th in points. So his finishes the last couple of weeks have not been good at all. So certainly trying to end off the season on a high note. Wyatt Quail moves into 2nd place. Wyatt Quail, a driver that it has not been confirmed if he's going to be coming back or not. More than likely, he is not going to be returning to the series. So he'd love to finish out his Duracell Cup Series career with his 2nd victory of the season. Of course, winning at Dover earlier on this year. Got a lot of drivers up here that are still looking for their first win of the season. Sandfer leading this race, Trent Dunham, Matt McIntire, Benjamin Miles, Julius Anderson there as well. As a matter of fact, we talk about Charles Sandfer trying to complete the sweep for his team. If Benjamin Miles can get up here and win, that would complete the sweep for Northeast Motorsports. William Brock's got 3 wins. LaPlante has the win at New Hampshire, and Ryan Butcher has the win at Pensacola Roval. As we got a battle here, 3 wide for the lead. Sandfer ducks out of it as he was trapped on the outside line. It'll be a couple of Fords, Collins and Quail, and look at Sandfer says, all right, I'll cross you both over, and I'll make it 3 wide on the bottom going into turn 1. Think I hear the idling engine of Keith Batson not too far ahead. He is in turns 3 and 4 as the leaders hit turn 3, so they will encounter that slower machine once again. Look at Carter Friesen up there in the top 10 right now, trying to go for 8th place on Wyatt Quail. But it's all really going to depend here where they catch Keith Batson. Will this hinder Carter Friesen, or will he be in the right line that'll pick up more positions? Sandfer catching up to Batson. He'll go to the bottom. That's going to trap the outside line. I think Friesen is in that lane. Well, he's going to be in the middle groove, so maybe the middle groove will be able to get by as LaPlante, Collins, and Quail are trapped. And here comes that second pack. They're going to reel these guys in very quickly. And Chris Dollerton, Benny Watson, and Dylan Poteet are all in this group. Carter Friesen's going to get by. What about the other 3? There's Watson. He's going to get by. Dollerton might be trapped in the middle line. Poteet's going to make his way by him. Dollerton's trying to get to the bottom. He might be able to tuck in line just in front of James Shelley, and he does. But it's looking like our Championship 4 might be tightening up just the least little bit now. Friesen's going to cross the line in 9th still. Watson is in 16th, Poteet in 18th, and Dollerton's in 21st. And keep in mind, we still got the pit stops taking place, and I think these pit stops are starting now. Trent Dunham from the 7th position hitting pit road. And this seems a little early for these drivers to be coming to pit lane. Because I don't think, no, we're not at our halfway point yet. The halfway point of this race would be halfway through lap 34. Trent Dunham's pitting here on lap 29, which means that if these drivers can't make it to lap 34, then they will more than likely have to pit once more in the closing stages of this race, as Sandfer will give up the lead. He's to pit road. Benjamin Miles, Johnny Gardner, they're coming in as well. See if any of our Championship 4 are coming in. Dylan Poteet and Chris Dollerton, they're going to come in early. Carter Friesen and Benny Watson, they stayed out. Almost wonder if you're Friesen or Watson, if you try staying out, leading a lap, get yourself a bonus point advantage over everybody else. And as soon as I say that, Friesen and Watson, they're coming to pit lane. And Matt McIntire is going to stay out another lap. Anybody else rolling the dice and staying out? Doesn't look like it. Looks like it's just going to be that 7 car. So Matt McIntire is going to inherit the race lead. And he will come to pit road here nearing the conclusion of lap 31, which I think still is going to put him about 2 laps short on fuel unless he can save. So he will hit pit road now. This could be your battle for the race lead coming off pit road between Charles Sandfer and Benjamin Miles. Here comes the one of Trent Dunham. He was the first one to peel off onto pit road from 7th. It's like he's going to cycle at least to 4th, maybe more if he gets enough momentum. He might be able to take the race lead here. Depending on how fast he's running to these others, looks like he will be 4th behind Johnny Gardner. So I think Charles Sandfer is going to cycle back around with the race lead. And it almost looks like Chris Dollerton could very well be coming out as the leader of the Championship 4. Well, nope, hold on. There's Carter Friesen just now leaving pit road. Dollerton's not that far back, though. And we'll see where Dollerton's going to slot in relation to the 37 of Friesen. It's like Friesen might come out in 5th. No, 6th. And Julius Andersson is going to come out the race leader. How about that? Came out ahead of both Benjamin Miles and Charles Sandfer. So it will be the 4 of Andersson. Oh, wait a minute. Matt McIntire, can he get out in front of these guys? Nope, they're going to pass him. But he'll at least be up in this lead pack. So we're going to wait here. I believe Friesen is still going to be scored in 7th place as Julius Andersson is now our race leader. And like I said, I think these drivers, they may still have to pit before this race is over with about maybe 4 to 5 laps to go. We'll have to wait and see. As Friesen crossed the line in 7th, Dollarton, or actually Poteet's the second highest. He's in 13th. Chris Dollarton is in 22nd, and Benny Watson lost some ground on pit road. He's back in 26th. So it looks like it might be Friesen versus Poteet right now. But Poteet's got some ground to make up. He's in the 3rd pack, trying to run down a 2nd pack, who's behind a pack of 3 leading this race. Chevy, Ford, Anderson, Sandfer, and Gardner. And all of them still looking for their first win on the year. Friesen's actually now up to 5th place there in the 37, running behind Trent Dunham's Sonic All-Stars Camaro. So the pit stops began on lap 29. They ended on lap 31, I believe it was. Or actually 32, sorry. So these drivers, if my calculations are correct, they will be back on pit road somewhere around laps 59 to 61. If that is as far as they could go on fuel. I don't know if the fuel window opened up for them to come to pit lane and make it the rest of the way. But we will certainly get our answers soon, as it looks like we will be finishing this race under green flag conditions unless some freak accident takes place. And this is what I like about Homestead, is more often than not, it is a clean and green race, but a lot of strategy and a lot of aggressive racing goes on all the way through the field. Get Carter Friesen. He'd love to be able to finish out the season with a win and a championship, and that car looks like it's strong enough to do it. Now what he has to worry about, though, is that second group back behind him, because Dylan Poteet is in it. And this group looks like it is making progress. Let's actually watch the next time by when they hit the line. Poteet's leading this group, and they were 3.35 seconds back behind the race leader, Julius Andersson. Let's see if they make up any ground here on this lap. They're a bigger pack of cars. And if they do gain ground, how much ground do they gain? 3.35 is now 3.24. They gained a tenth. So they're going to have to gain a lot more than that. They got to hope that the drivers up here in this group continue to race, and they may actually get some help depending on where they catch the 39 of Keith Batson, who's going to be in the way again. And this time they catch him in the entry of a corner. That slows everybody in this lead group up. Uh-oh, Carter Friesen stuck on the bottom. Now he's going to get to the inside of the 39, and here comes that second group. A lot of momentum, a lot of speed, and they're going to catch up pretty quick. That time they cut it down by 4/10. But now they're going to have to make their way around Keith Batson. And so that might hinder them a little bit. And Poteet's trapped on that outside line, so that might not help the 31. This could help the 43 of Chris Dollarton, who's on the bottom lane. Yeah, Poteet's stuck behind the 39. Here comes Dollarton. He's going to make the pass on Poteet, so now he's the one trying to run down Carter Friesen. Poteet, wrong place, wrong time. And Benny Watson's all the way back here in this group. So right now it's not looking like the single car entry from Otter Island Motorsports is going to be in the hunt for this championship, at least not right now. You got to wonder, like I said, these drivers are going to be anywhere from about 5 to 6, maybe 7 laps short on fuel. Would someone like Dollarton, Friesen, Poteet, would they all be saving perhaps? Try and make it the rest of the way? There's a championship on the line. If you have to come to pit road anyway, why not go out there and risk it? You might just have enough fuel to win the championship. And Carter Friesen right now, you know what he's thinking about? He's thinking about getting up there leading a lap, because if he leads a lap, that's a bonus point that he would have. And that would mean that his competitors would have to finish 2 positions ahead of him, rather than 1 to take the championship away from him. Julius Andersson, though, I don't think he's going to just move over and let Carter Friesen lead a lap, though. Update on your playoff drivers. Friesen's in 2nd, Dollarton crossed in 16th. Poteet, after getting trapped behind Keith Batson, is now back in 24th, and Benny Watson back in 31st position. All 40 drivers still running. Only one of them is a lap down. That's Keith Batson, who had to come to pit road for an unscheduled stop after he got hooked off the nose of Zach Rogers, hit the inside wall in the back straightaway, but he is still running. Carter Friesen did not lead that lap. Andersson held him off. And Friesen might not lead this lap. How about Ryan Butcher there in the 24? First time we've talked about him this evening. Ooh, little contact there between himself and Carter Friesen. That was close. Friesen's trying to do everything he can to keep his car out in front to lead that lap, but he's not going to get to do it this time. It'll be Ryan Butcher leading the way there. And I think this group right here might be very quickly getting reeled in by this second group. And guess who's in this second group? Chris Dollerton, right now in the 16th position. And they have caught the draft of this lead pack, and so Dollerton and Friesen, they might find themselves in a spirited battle in a few moments for position and for the championship, with pit stops still possibly looming in the closing stages of this race. See Dylan Poteet way back there, just now exiting out of turn 4. 39 of Keith Batson, his positioning there was not beneficial at all, as that's going to take Poteet, at least for the moment, out of the championship hunt. Now I wonder if maybe he might utilize the fuel strategy. And Friesen wants to get the race lead from Ryan Butcher. Can he beat the 24 to the line here? Get that bonus point for leading the lap? Yes, he will. So Carter Friesen's got a bonus point in the bank. So now he's put the pressure on Chris Dollerton, who will have to finish 2 spots ahead of Friesen. And I'm looking here as well, as far as, let's say that Dollerton only finishes 1 position ahead of Friesen and the 2 of them are tied. Well, who would the tiebreaker go to? It wouldn't go to either one of them via wins, because they both have 1 win, so they're tied for that. It would then go to top 5s, and that would be the advantage to Chris Dollerton, who has 7 top 5s. Friesen only has 3. Even if we went to top 10s, Dollerton has 12 top 10s. Friesen only has 8. As they're going to catch Keith Batson, and Friesen had the right line. Oh, trouble! Gardner spins right in front of the field. Oh, look out! They're all spinning. Dollerton got through. Dylan Poteet's back there. Oh, he got hit. Poteet got hit. Jesse Turner's involved. Benny Watson is going to get through as Seth Cole slides up the track and into the wall. Caution will wave. And that's going to end the championship hopes of Dylan Poteet. And this will mean these drivers will be able to hit pit road, and they will be able to make it on fuel. It looked like the issue happened because of the slower car of Keith Batson. I think Johnny Gardner ran into the back of him, caused the stack up, and that is the end of the season for Dylan Poteet. The 2-time winner will not be a Duracell Cup Series champion. Charles Sandfer, the pole sitter, was involved. Carson Gum was in it. There is Seth Cole. I know he hit the apron and slid up into the wall. Austin LaPlante's got damage. Looks like William Brock might have been in it. There were some others. Jesse Turner, I think, was the one that slid into Poteet. Matt Haas is damaged. Michael Norman, Trey Wright. But that's going to wad everybody back up here. Jose Millz has got some damage. That's going to put Benny Watson back into the hunt, possibly. And it's also going to bring Chris Dollerton a little bit closer to Carter Friesen. Diego Yepez, a lot of front-end damage on his Citgo Chevrolet, the 2-time winner. Battle off of pit road. Benjamin Miles bests his Northeast Motorsport teammate Ryan Butcher. So he'll be the leader when we go back green. Looks like Friesen will come out in 3rd. For now, let's go back and see what happened out of turn 2. Our first caution of the evening, with about 20 laps to go. It's going to be difficult to find a camera angle here, too, to be able to see through the smoke. But you see, they catch the 39 of Keith Batson. Gardner tries to go into the middle lane, and he just didn't have the 39 cleared. Gets him in the right rear quarter panel. Gardner spins right in front of the field, and then this is where everything starts to stack up. That's Adam Garcia, Matthew Rodriguez back there, Charles Sandfer, and then I can't tell who it was that Matt Rod came down into. It might have been the 8 of Matt Haas and the 2 of Dylan Young. Jose Millz and Michael Norman get involved right there. Michael Norman, more contact there with the 8 of Matt Haas. Now, you saw that teal blue car of Dylan Poteet. Oh, there's the shot he took. He ran into Charles Sandfer, and so too did Carson Gum. And you see the 0 of Diego Yepez is barrel rolling back there. Jesse Turner back also slid through with a lot of damage. What happened to him? We might have to actually use our helicopter cam just to find out some of these things, because there's so much dust kicked up. Okay, so let's actually look first at Yepez in the 0. See what happens to him, because he was barrel rolling. Okay, he's going to run into the back of Adam Garcia, and then LaPlante's into the back of him, and that flips him upside down. He then barrel rolls into the back of T Wright, and Jesse Turner hit the back of LaPlante, and that's what had him slide. And I'm pretty certain that Turner slid into Dylan Poteet. Yep. You'll see right here, he's in the grass. LaPlante shoots down into his lane, clips him in the passenger side door. That sends his car into a spin. He's narrowly going to avoid spinning into Charles Sandfer, but then he's going to pancake into the side right there of the 31 of Dylan Poteet. So that is what's going to be bringing out the caution. Let's actually look here too. I think I saw Seth Cole. If we look here, yeah, he gets down on that transition of the banking and the apron, snaps his car up the track, and he's going to, I think, hit the outside wall. Yeah, he's going to get it with the right rear and then the right front. But fortunately, nobody hit him. That was right in front of J Gardner. So that brings out the caution for the first time here tonight. It takes one of our championship 4 out of the race, that being Dylan Poteet. It's now down between Friesen, Dollarton, and Watson for the championship. We've been given the 1 to green signal, and we will restart with a total of 16 laps to go in this race. That means that since we have more than 10 laps to go, the 39 of K Batson will be a little bit of a hindrance here for these race leaders on that inside line. We know he is not up to speed as he is multiple laps down. Benjamin Miles restarts the leader over teammate Ryan Butcher. Playoff contender Carter Friesen lines up in 3rd. Then the rest of your top 10 are Julius Anderson, K Mathews, last week's winner J Jefferson, Jordan Lopez, James Shelley, M McIntire, and J Qualls. Where do the other 2 championship competitors line up? Well, it's going to be Chris Dollarton lined up 16th and Benny Watson in 21st. Still plenty of time for them to get their way up here and challenge Carter Friesen. Drivers out of the race after the incident we saw are the cars of Carson Gum, Dylan Poteet, Adam Garcia, Diego Yepez, and pole sitter Charles Sandfer. 35 cars still running, 34 of them on the lead lap. Batson is 5 laps down. Green flag back in the air. Don't recommend anybody jumping down to that inside line, at least right now, because K Batson's down there. Trent Dunham tried to, and I think he's going to pay the price. Yep. Going to get held up there as Chris Dollarton swings around the outside line, so that's some positions he'll be picking up. Bear in mind, though, we have to keep in mind that Carter Friesen led a lap here in this race, so that means he's got a bonus point that Dollarton and Watson do not. And Friesen gets kicked up the outside line, so he's starting to fade backwards. That might allow Chris Dollarton to start closing in. Teammates battle for the lead. Butcher, Miles, and now here comes Andersson back into the picture. How about last week's winner, J Jefferson, right there in the 5. Trying to get back-to-back wins to close out the season. Jordan Lopez got a win 2 weeks ago at Talladega. That was his 3rd win of the season, trying to be a 4-time winner like his teammate, Jose Millz. And let's give you a lap around Homestead with a crank it up. K Mathews to the race lead now. That Kings Island Chevrolet Camaro. Got some new players up here at the front that we haven't talked about today. How about the 11 of James Qualls, the 01 of Jack Mitchell, the 71 of James Shelley? They're all up here now with a shot at winning this race. And how about the Dodge Challenger of Ryan Butcher? Great run for him as well. Carter Friesen, he must feel like a man on a raft, a lonely man on that outside line. He just got forced 3 wide by James Qualls, and look who is coming as I just hit the wrong key. Look who is not too far back. That's Chris Dollarton, about to crack the top 10, and he's closing in on passing Carter Friesen for position. We should mention that when these drivers all hit pit road, under that caution, they are good to go on fuel. So now it just comes down to who's going to finish ahead of whom. Here comes Dollarton, down on the bottom, Friesen up top 3 wide. Dollarton will make the pass for position on Carter Friesen. Now he's got to get 2 positions ahead of the 37 though. He cannot finish 1 position ahead. It looks like Friesen on that outside line is going to hold off Chris Dollarton, at least for the moment. Meanwhile up front, boy, they are getting antsy. Jordan Lopez thought about 3 wide with Andersson and Mathews, but Andersson couldn't quite get to the inside of Kyle Mathews, so Mathews will still hold on to the race lead for the moment. Oh boy, they're catching Keith Batson again. Who's on the bottom? Both cars. Dollarton and Friesen both on the inside line right now, which seems to be the lane that moves when they catch the slower 39. Where are they going to go? Mathews got to pick a lane. He's going to go low. Lopez goes there with him. And there you see, oh, Friesen stuck on the outside. Dollarton stuck Friesen on the top side, although that middle line seems to be moving a little bit right now. Oh, Carter, what are you doing? Carter went up to the outside line now, and now he's going to get trapped. Now that second group has caught him, and Friesen's losing positions hand over fist. Oh, I don't know why he went to the outside line, why he didn't stick to the middle, and now Dollarton is going to get away with the top position as far as the playoff contenders. And I don't know if Carter Friesen's got enough time to run him back down. Friesen's still losing spots. He's the car trapped behind Keith Batson. And now he's going to get by, but Friesen is going to cross the line now in the 25th position, while Dollarton is up inside the top 10 in the 9th spot. Now Chris Dollarton, all he's got to worry about is making sure he doesn't get involved in a wreck or have some mechanical problem. This time by, it will be 7 laps to go at Homestead. Single file train right now at the front with Mathews, Lopez. Now the battle is on for 3rd between Jack Mitchell and M McIntire. I couldn't tell if that engine sound I heard was an idling engine or if it was... No, it is idling engines. That's M Haas and A LaPlante. They're at the start-finish line now. The leaders are exiting turn 4, so those cars could come into play here in the closing stages of this race. Carter Friesen's back in that second group that just exited turn 4. Dollarton, in the meantime, is up here in the lead pack, battling side by side with James Qualls. That is for, I believe, the 9th position. All Chris has to do is finish ahead of the 37 right now. Benny Watson, I don't know where he's at after all that went down. He's right now in 28th. So he is a non-factor at this point in time, and right now it is all about the 43 of Chris Dollarton. Meanwhile, battle for the lead is on. Jordan Lopez to the inside of Kyle Mathews, and they are catching that 8 and 48. Which lane's going to move when they catch him is the question. Will it be the inside or the outside line? And maybe if Dollarton gets held up behind one of them, that might bring Carter Friesen back into the picture. You never know. It ain't over till it's over. And M Haas and A LaPlante, they are battling each other for the 33rd position. If they get side by side, that's going to be a wall for these drivers to have to deal with. And here they come. Which lane do you take? Mathews tries the outside. Lopez on the bottom. Inside line's going to prevail. Lopez will go to the lead. And Kyle Mathews may have just lost this race because of deciding to stay on that top side. Lopez goes to the lead, Brommer to 2nd, Butcher to 3rd, J Jefferson now to 4th, Trent Dunham will move to 5th. And as this battle goes on, we're gonna jump back up there in just a moment, but I want to watch here with Chris Dollarton because he's trapped on the outside line Where's the 37 of Friesen? Does he have enough time to catch up here? He might. Dallerton's got to get himself to the bottom. He's got to get himself down to the bottom quick. He's going to get to the middle line at least. But that middle line is being held up by M Haas. Now he's going to be able to maybe get to the bottom behind Julius Andersson. Where's Friesen? There he is. About a half a straightaway back. He needs Dallerton to keep being held up. Woo, contact there between Shelley and Qualls. Ooh, Andersson into Shelley. Shelley spins. Oh, there they go. Dallerton gets through. Friesen gets through. Caution's out. We're racing back to the caution. We're racing back to the yellow flag. The race is going to end under yellow. And Jordan Lopez is going to win here this evening at Homestead. Dallerton got through. Friesen got through. Dallerton is going to finish. Oh my goodness, he finished 2 positions ahead of Friesen. He finishes 12th. Friesen finishes 14th. That's what Dallerton needed to do to win the championship, was finish 2 spots ahead of Friesen because of Friesen having the bonus point, and that's exactly the number of positions he's going to finish ahead of Carter by. Oh my goodness, that wreck nearly decided the championship down to the wire. The white flag and caution flag were just displayed for Jordan Lopez, and Lopez is going to join his teammate Jose Millz as a 4-time winner this season. 2 wins in the last 3 weeks, his last one coming at Talladega, and Jordan Lopez will pick up his 4th win of the season as he's going to come to the line, the caution flag and the checkered flag waving at the same time, and Lopez wins the Ford 400 this evening in the season finale at Homestead. There's Dallerton crossing the line in 12th, Friesen in 14th. Dallerton is your Season 1 Duracell Cup Series champion. What a night for Ford. It's sponsored by Ford, the Ford 400. A Ford wins the race in Lopez, and a Ford wins the championship in Chris Dallerton. You can't write this stuff. Friesen's going to finish in 14th. If Friesen had finished in 13th, the tiebreaker still would have gone to Dallerton as we documented. But if Dallerton had been caught up in that wreck, then Friesen would have more than likely been able to maybe slip through and win this championship. And Benny Watson, he's going to finish in 19th, so at least he made it a somewhat close battle, as he was able to get through the wreck as well. Speaking of that wreck, since it was a wreck that played a huge factor into the outcome of this race, we're going to go back and give you an in-depth look of a replay, and then we'll come back with your finishing results. They were 4 wide, and there was contact going into 1 between James Shelley and James Qualls. Shelley then turns down to try and get off the 11, and Julius Andersson's there to his left rear quarter panel, and you'll see right about there is where the 71 snaps loose. Up into M Haas, Benjamin Miles, James Qualls, Cole Baker, all collected up in this. You see Chris Dallerton on the bottom. He gets through it. LaPlante slides down to the inside. Watch Carter Friesen. Wow, Wyatt Quail takes the hit. Friesen gets through. Levi McIntire collected up in it. Seth Cole, Matthew Rodriguez. And then you see that powder blue number 75 of Benny Watson. He's just barely going to avoid Julius Andersson and get through this wreck. Almost hits Matthew Rodriguez as well. Ryan Acosta does a heck of a job getting through. Someone clobbered Julius Andersson. I can't see who that is. Oh, I think that was Zach Rogers. Zach Rogers got involved in this as well. And just a pile up here on the back straightaway. But the 3 remaining championship competitors got through it. Take another look from another camera angle here. Now, a big reason for this 4 wide was because they were trapped behind the slower car there, the 8 of M Haas. That's what had them all wadded up. And I think right here when Shelley, I think his left front hits the apron. Yeah, and that's what snaps his car around. Now, look at some of these hits that are going to be taken. There's Dallerton slipping through. There's Carter Friesen, the 37. Right there, you see him get through. Seth Cole got into Andersson, and then Matthew Rodriguez ran to the back of him. Jose Millz slipped through. And then watch the 4 of Andersson. I think right here is where the hit's going to come, and I believe it's the 6 of Zach Rogers that's going to hit him right there. Oh, yep. Well, let's take some onboards. Let's take 3 onboards with the 3 playoff contenders that made it through the wreck. Well, Carter Friesen, if Chris Dollerton had been collected up in the wreck, he probably would have won the championship. Let's watch him make his way through this last wreck. The 41 doesn't hit the 8, then Carter Friesen's involved. And there you can see just 2 cars ahead. You can see the 43, but it's just a little too late. Well, Benny Watson's going to finish 3rd in the championship standings, but watch him with a couple near misses through the wreck. First one there with Andersson, and then the second one with Matthew Rodriguez. And now Chris Dollerton, who gets a front row seat of how this wreck starts and somehow is in the right place at the right time to avoid, to make it back to the line and win the championship. If he doesn't lift, he's in the wreck. Simple as that. And sometimes it's moves like that that put you in position to win championships. And Chris Dollerton, making it through the wreck, comes around, sees the white flag and the caution flag, and right there is when he won the championship here this evening. So the standings are now official. And Chris Dollerton finishing in 12th place. That will be enough for him to take the championship here this season. And Chris Dollerton is confirmed. He is returning to the series next season, so we will have a defending champion in the Duracell Cup Series second season of running. Jordan Lopez, though, what a season it has been for him. He got eliminated in the second round of the playoffs, but he then, in the third round, managed to get his 3rd win of the season, and tonight gets his 4th win on the year. That is 9 wins total for Blue Oval Automotive. 4 for Jordan Lopez, 4 for Jose Millz, and 1 for T Wright. What a season they've had as a team. Ryan Brommer's going to bring it home in 2nd. A great performance for him to finish out the season. Trent Dunham, this is his final season, as he will not be returning next year. He'll get 3rd. How about Matt McIntire? A struggling year for a driver that comes into this race dead last in points. What a great way to end off the season with a top 5 run of 4th. And William Brock, another 3-time winner up there. We never talked about him hardly at all, but I think that wreck allowed him to slip through and get a top 5 run in 5th. Dylan Young, we didn't talk about him either. He's going to get 6th. Ryan Butcher brings home 7th. How about J Shelton? We didn't talk about her tonight. She gets 8th. Vince Almariego pops up into the top 10 and 9th. And J Jefferson, after his win last week, finishes out the year with yet another top 10 finish. And the rest of your top 15 were Jack Mitchell, Chris Dollerton in 12th. The eventual champion of the series, Kyle Mathews, had himself trapped behind. I think it was it Matt Haas, I think, that lost him the race lead. He'll have to settle for 13th. Carter Friesen brings it home in 14th. Jesse Turner in 15th. Carter Friesen going to lose out on the championship to Chris Dollerton, I believe, by 1 point. Wow. How close can you get? Benny Watson's going to finish the day out in 19th place, so he is going to finish 7 points back from the champion, Chris Dollerton. And the other driver was Dylan Poteet, and he finished out of the race. After getting involved in the first wreck of the evening, he will finish in 37th. We had some other drivers out of the race in the closing stages. Cole Baker, Benjamin Miles brought their cars back behind the wall. Carson Gum, Adam Garcia, with the aforementioned Poteet, Yepez, and Sandfer out of the race after the first wreck. And several drivers finished multiple laps down. That was basically due to them coming to pit road, trying to repair crash damage, get out there, finish the race, but we had received the white flag, so they only had 1 lap in which to repair damage, and they all finished off the lead lap. Most of the drivers all involved in that wreck that took place with 2 laps to go. But that is going to finish out this evening's race from Homestead-Miami Speedway, and it finishes out the season. It came down to 1 point between Chris Dollerton and Carter Friesen, and it came down to a pivotal wreck with 2 laps to go as to whether they made it through it or not and who got through it first. And Dollerton was the one that was able to do just that. So what a season this has been. And Chris Dollerton officially is your Season 1 Duracell Cup Series champion. Hope you guys enjoyed this race from Homestead. What a race it was. We had Friesen at the front. We had Watson up there for a time. Poteet was up there a little bit. You had Dollerton coming up there in the closing stages. Everybody, for the most part, at some point of this race, had a shot of winning this championship between our final 4. But if you enjoyed tonight's race and if you enjoyed this season, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the crew today. We have shown you full finished results. These are your official overall point standings for the year and your final official playoff points between Dollerton, Friesen, Watson, and Poteet, and the remainder of the 16 drivers, 12 of which were eliminated heading into this evening's event. But until next season, it's going to be a wild one. We've got a few changes on the schedule. We've got some drivers that are making some manufacturer changes, making some team changes, and we may have a rookie class heading into next season as well. Hope you will tune in for that, as I've been Seth Cole, and for the final time here this season in the Duracell Cup Series, you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.